Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we have Kenneth Lo, co-founder of ZenBiz Services. And here's the deal, we're talking AI, but not just the technical, we're also talking about the practical business applications of AI and what you need to know to get started. And the way I'm going to put it, also to not get hosed. Now, I want to preface this with a little bit of a disclaimer. We fervently believe, based off what we've been seeing for 10 plus years now, and when I say 10 plus years, the Human Cloud book was actually two parts, Human Cloud, Machine Cloud. And Machine Cloud, this is when we were talking about deep learning, neural networks, machine learning, you name it. So this is not new to us. But our disclaimer is that no matter what the technology is, whether AI today, whether stable coins tomorrow, we have an awesome episode related to that in the coming months, but whatever the tech is, if you don't have the talent that can both drive the strategy and the execution, then you're literally just going to spend more, you're going to have to do more, and you're probably not going to see the business results. And it'd be worse than if you just did nothing, to be honest. And so our disclaimer is that you need both the talent to make the technology work. And you can't stick with just the talent because, as we know, technological disruption is happening across the talent landscape, which is why it's called the Human Cloud Podcast. So I want you to really, really enjoy this episode. But then most importantly, I want you to think about what in your business, no matter what you are, even if you're a first-year marketing associate or the CEO of a large company, what in your business truly needs the intersection of AI and talent. And I can tell you, it's all of your business. So enjoy this with Kenneth. Then most importantly, go drive some change. Real quick, before this episode gets started, I want to tell you about a new thing that we just shipped that I swear is going to change your life. What I'm talking about is Market Map. We have taken the full flexible talent industry and crunched it into a global snapshot. Check this out. It has 14 different categories. We're talking large horizontal marketplaces, specialized talent platforms, fractional talent platforms, the providers, even the digital workers. We've chunked it all into one global snapshot. I want you to go over to humancloud.work/market map today. Kenneth, well, listen, I know this is a couple months in the making. We are so happy to have you on. For you listeners, I'll give you a little context. I forget exactly, I know it was somewhere on LinkedIn, but we had saw something you'd done and went, holy crap, you need to talk to our audience. Now, it was related to AI and automation. And it was, I think it might have been as far back as last summer. And so this was not someone mentioned a post about DeepSeek, right? Or something. It's like, no. This person actually knows how to leverage AI and automation in a way that's not hand wavy, take your money and run away. So that's the context. Now, it's funny. We're going to start with you and just do an intro on yourself. And then honestly, we're going to dive straight into the big win. And then we're going to build around that. So Kenneth, besides having the best jacket on this podcast right now, how would you describe yourself? Because you definitely have the best jacket. No questions asked, by far the best jacket.
Thank you. One of your coworkers saw one of my events. I was wearing this jacket, and they said, "Oh, you can wear that." So, hi everybody. My name is Kenneth Lo. I think I want to give you get context why I'm always like speeding, like a Speedy Gonzalez. I think this is what people call me. Well, I raced in the velodrome. I raced a few years, and former track cycling world champion. And then I started a AI automation firm about 2 years ago. So that is why I really appreciate speed, efficiency, nanoseconds. I have this need for speed.
And how would you? So I mean, your background, like just a quick thing for your listeners to hear. So you're an Angel Squad member at Hustle Fund, right? You're obviously a technology expert at GLG. Like your time is very, very valuable. And, prior things you've done, director of information systems, senior PM, right? You've built a couple companies. And so how would you describe your expertise besides really, really effing technical, but then also able to bridge it into business applications. But how would you describe your expertise?
Yeah, so I started my career as a consultant. And so it's a lot of this consultative, hypothetical testing, all of that that's kind of ingrained. And I've seen, the biggest, government agencies. I was in the East Coast working federal government contracting, served FEMA and some three letters agencies. So started with like really big organizations. And I actually went smaller and smaller and moved my way out to the West Coast where is bottom lines. Where's the return on investment? Where are the results? And so that really gives me appreciation. It's like, okay, it's not the features, it's the benefits.
Now let's go straight into it. Tell me about this big win, and then we're going to build off that. But let's get straight into this big win.
Well, how do we start?
You tell me, man. I think so. So for you listeners, I think what I really want you to be hearing from, and I think this is where when we look at like our audience and you listeners, it's a blend of tech, sort of like myself, self-taught tech, able to get into Microsoft, able to run technical teams, but can't code and can easily be tricked if I'm not listening to the right people. And so someone like you can actually make sure that we're hearing the right things. And you can make sure that we know the actual business applications, how long it's going to take to build this, how much it's going to cost to build this, right? Like technically, if you say how much does it cost to build, I'll just tell you between 1 and 10 million. And the reality is that's how you're really
Seven.
saying, I don't know, but I'm going to play the game.
Uh-huh.
But so for your perspective, yeah, let's just dive right into sort of one of the most recent, applications that you've been most proud of, and then we're going to kind of just keep double clicking into it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to say this warm and fuzzies. Warm and fuzzy, like this jacket. Why? Well, I think there's a lot of fear going on right now that, AI technologies may be, shifting the entire human existence. Well, that could be the case that where, jobs could be displaced and shifted in different ways. But I think the more some of these repetitive tasks are being automated, the actually more present you can be. So I'm going to start off with that. That's the big win. And so let's go down to a more at the ground level, right? So I'm in the middle of working with one of the financial firms. It's a private equity firm. I came from that industry. So we're doing a proof of concept. And I'll just give you a very quick workflow, right? So there are a lot of meetings going on. That's kind of like the deal flow. You get to screen out like 100 or thousands of them in order to find someone that's worth your time. You take the meeting, you look at the slide decks, you take investment memos, you put in a CRM, you write more memos, and then you present it, you take it to your bosses. The bosses will make go, no go decision. And then, the prospect that I'm working with right now, they also have investors. Once they decided that this is the investment they want to go, they go out to their investors. So they need to be doing outreach campaigns. So that is just very oversimplified of an opaque workflow with a private equity firm. And, as you can think about it, there's so many opportunities that you can be, sprinkling some automation in there. So, yeah, go ahead, Matthew.
No, so let's double click, man. So okay, we lay out the opportunity analysis, right? Which that's like, so you lay out the workflow, you lay out the opportunity analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we make that bridge? Because one of the answers could be, all right, we hire someone really expensive, like Kenneth, and we say, hey, Kenneth, will you be our head of AI? And you just sit there for a whole year, collecting a nice salary, and then after a year, nothing to show for it. Okay, that's one option. Option two, we go to Accenture, right? Or we go to a software dev firm and we say, hey, what can you build? And they go, yeah, of course, we can do this for 1 to 10 million. Gets built and no business impact. So option three, go to you. And you actually know what the hell you're doing. But so how do we go from the workflow into actually building this application?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there, Matthew. So I think one big theme here is with all these technologies coming out every single minute. This reasoning model, DeepSeek, Alibaba's got something. Everybody got some new models coming out. Okay, um, but the idea is like you're not hiring for roles. The idea of hiring like a marketing manager that oversees a bunch of stuff, I think that is going to shift. Instead, you're going to be hiring for tasks. And a lot of these tasks, if you been watching the news a little bit, is agentic AI, right? Now we're getting to that turning point where you just say, "This is my goal, and I want this to be done however you see fit," which is basically the humans have been doing for a long time. And I think we're getting to the turning point where AI technologies can actually take on some of that, and it's going to be a human in the loop system where the human will be overseeing it and applying the judgment and the emotional intelligence. I think that's how I see the shift is happening right now.
Can we double click on agentic AI and human in the loop, but starting with agentic AI because it's
Yeah.
a term that like was percolating what for the last couple months. In the last week, last month it's really taken off. What is it? How do you define it?
I was just looking at TikTok and they're like endless of TikToks, people talking about agentic AI. So let's keep it really simple. Okay. If you state a goal and then you want some stuff to be done, which is pretty much if you have a team of people, that's how you're getting stuff executed. In the past, where when ChatGPT first came out, it's really like more Q&A. Is more like you ask a question and then you just kind of hope for the best is some kind of factual answer you get back. We've been getting along a lot better now, so I think the answers you're getting from this Q&A kind of thing is a lot better. But at the end of the session, you're not getting anything done. It's like, well, I'm going to go to Paris. You can talk about all these tourist spots and things like that, but you're not booking a reservation. You're not walking away with a ticket. But with all the agentic stuff, AI that's coming out, you can actually say, hey, my goal is to go to Paris before the July big summer rush, and I want to be able to go to near the shopping area, but not touristy, blah, blah, blah. And then just let the AI do the magic for you.
So okay, that is super helpful. So instead of explicit Q&A, right, which is what most, I guess we could say automation was built off, right? And like explicit Q&A also could be if this then that logic. So like instead of explicitly having to lay out if this then that into some ERP or SaaS or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
instead when you talk about agentic AI, it's hey, this is the goal, get it done. And the goal in your case, which was Paris, was I want to go to Paris when it's warm out, get
Mm-hmm.
it done, and it can handle everything. Now, what cracks me up is, all right, we've been doing that forever. It's called having a team, right? It's called having a direct report.
Uh-huh.
So now, and is that the right framing of it? Is hey, going from explicit Q&A to giving a goal and having the agentic AI get it done?
That's exactly it. So I want to take a little, I don't want to go too nerdy, but basically with the traditional workflow, you have to define the if else then, and then there's a catch all. The catch all is usually, oh, just call the manager, call an adult and ask for supervision or something like that, right? But in a agentic world, it's going to be not that prescriptive. It's going to be like, get it done. Maybe you can even define the resources that you're allowing it, or you can use my American Express card, you can use my Visa card, but don't use this because it's my personal card or something like that. You have some rules defined.
That makes total sense. Okay, now, I mean, let me like, is it why are we hearing about it now? Why didn't we hear about this 2 years ago? And is it because ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek are true agentic applications, or why didn't we hear about this 2 years ago?
So AI has been around forever. They
Yeah.
have terms like what is it called? Like state machines, machine learning, reinforcement learning. Nothing sexy. I mean, this has been around forever, though. But I think with the OpenAI, the past 2 years, it has really make it accessible and democratic. I was teaching an AI course, and one of my most respected students, actually more active ones, she retired from a big blue chip corporation, and she's learning this stuff, and in the 70s, and she didn't have to learn how to code. As long as she got some basic prompting techniques, she was going a ton and making all sort of planning. I think she was making this logistic plan for Thanksgiving dinner. So there's like a family of like 20 people or something like that. Everyone has a agenda for each one of them. So she was able to just use AI. Is that accessible?
That makes total sense. I actually think so. I wonder what. So if we were to look at Human Cloud, right? We're like this weird media company. Now we have no experience in media, so that's like one of our business lines. It's like we're this weird media company, and none of us come from journalism. None of us come from production. We all come from tech. And I mean, literally, the tech stack is Riverside that we're on right now,
Okay.
LinkedIn, right, to get things. But the tech stack, we take for granted that it enables us to do that. And so prior, we would have had to build our own studio. Prior, we had to understand all the audio engineering. But because we know how to hire freelancers, right? So because we know how to hire freelance audio engineers and producers, and because the tools are available right now, well, Human Cloud becomes a media company, and which is weird to me, but so. Is that the level of the way you put it? Was it's now accessible, it's now democratized, and it's now easy to use? Like, is it just creating new business opportunities that us normal people can take advantage of?
Absolutely. Is the access to knowledge is wide open. Back then, if you got internet, you know how to use Google, you can find a lot of information, some good, some not so good, some factual, some not so factual. And this has massively accelerated that. And I would just, to be honest, I was prepping for this podcast, right? So I took some of my writing, I took some of your writing, and I put it in Google Notebook LM, and they turned it into a podcast. And there was like the two voices that does all of the Google podcast right now. And I call it in. I was asking interactive questions.
So we need to then play this one and then play that one. Oh, that is meta, Kenneth. That is so meta. Now let's try to get so that's agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you talk about a human in the loop, what do you mean by a human in the loop? Yeah, how would we define that?
So I'm going to give you a quick example, like Fathom AI note taker. Okay. So I was talking about this PE workflow. So the very first encounter is this intro meeting, right? We took the meeting, and back then there may be a person in the background taking, what is it, a scribe or something?
Yeah.
A person that got hired just to take notes. And maybe now with Zoom, maybe I'm taking notes, I'm breaking eye contact, the deep bonding you and I just established just broke momentarily because you're looking down and, taking notes. I don't want that. That's why I think it's more warm and fuzzy. Now I can totally focus on you. Well, I'm going to not look so creepy. I'm going to look away every once in a while. But I can maintain that presence and eye contact uninterrupted while I know the notes are captured. And as a matter of fact, there are, some features where, there's some AI coaching right away. Say, oh, Ken, I think you're just being too energetic right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Which now
launching a
at the
monologue.
same time, that stuff terrifies me even more because I don't know that I still take paper notes, Kenneth. Not gonna lie, there's still paper notes that but okay. When we talk about commercializing this, so you're teaching classes on AI, you're helping out private equity companies with this. I mean, how far along is the commercialization? Meaning, is every single company starting to have agentic AI? Are some companies having agentic AI? And then we'll also get into like, does that mean they have to build it themselves? Or should they just use, OpenAI Enterprise? Should they wait until their M365 license rolls out a different copilot? Like, what
Hmm.
should they be doing? So we'll start with that of like, what does the agentic AI adoption look like right now from what you're seeing?
Hmm. Wow. So that is, you're talking about a engagement that would cost 1 to 10 million, but I'm going to give it away for free. At least the recipe of it, the high level.
Yes. See, I knew you would. I knew you would, Kenneth. That's why. Okay, put a dot in it. It took 19 minutes for you to just say, "Fuck it, I'm going to release the secret." That is, and let me tell you, I mean this in all seriousness. When you release the secret, it's not the secret that matters. Just like with AI, I think it's not necessarily the objective words, data, whatever that matters.
Mhm.
It's the contextualization. And so, our listeners, you're going to tell us the secret, but they're still going to need you to help implement this. They're still going to need
Mhm.
you as a resource or strategy, as a strategy partner.
Mhm.
So, I can't wait for you to give it away, but just know that even when you hear it, you're still going to need people like Kenneth to be there to help you along the journey. But yeah, so let's uh let's do this.
So, being in San Francisco, I got a bit of an unfair advantage. I can walk into OpenAI, I can walk into Anthropic and eat their dinners because they always have events. They always have hackathons and things like that. I never have to cook. I never have to even have a residence because I can probably like just camp out and go to hackathon. But anyway, that aside, there's so many products and platforms. Finding one isn't the problem. It's just knowing what you want to do. Like, let me give you an example. Like, you all have heard DeepSeek, and I don't know how you feel about it, but the basic difference of it is how cost effective it is compared to some of the most advanced models that you have to pay $200 for OpenAI to get the enterprise to get access to it, right? You can get a fraction of that, and it's open source. Is it going to get banned? Is it going to get bought by TikTok? I don't know. I'm going to stay out of that conversation. But for what it's worth, the power of that is amazing. You can pose a question and you get this not just one-to-one response, which is called like a zero shot response, but it's actually thinking divergently. Now, I'm not talking about neurodivergent. I'm talking about like instead of driving to one answer, it's actually thinking about like a game theory. What if we think about this? What if we do that? What if we do that? And there's like a 30% chance of this happening. There's a 50% chance of happening. So I think strategically, you may want to focus on option C. That's the most beneficial for you. So that kind of analysis is called the reasoning. DeepSeek R3, that's what it does. Now, OpenAI, they got the model, I think it's called O3, and then they got the O3 Mini, O3 Mini High. I think they're terrible at naming stuff. But anyway, that's the level that we have today, right? But finding all this information, going through all those terrible name models and things like that, that's not the difficult part. I think like fitting your requirements. For example, for a PE firm, for a security firm, you have high regulations, compliance, right? If the idea of your proprietary data, your investment decks, your memos are stored on server that is not onshore or elsewhere, is it going to raise a flag? Well, fair likely. So how do you do that? Have a private instance, for example. You want to have it host You want to use a model, and you want to make sure all the information is kept within your virtual instance that is safely stored and is not going to be freely flowing back to wherever. So that just give you a fun quick example. Like, I can give you some quick ideas, and it's very, very universal. But when you go down to the nuances to fit your industry, to fit your compliance, to fit your culture, that's the value added.
So that's we actually see that. So in our business, right? One of the biggest values we have is there's 800 plus talent platforms out there. And what's funny to me is the evolution of talent and the evolution of AI, they're very similar in some ways. But so there's 800 plus talent platforms out there. So if you were to go to if you were to go to a line of business head or an CTRO and you were to say, what do you need? The first principle is, well, we need talent, right? That's the first principle. The secondary needs are, can't be too expensive. We need them within a reasonable time. And we need them in a way that's best for us, usually meaning not as a fixed cost, but as a variable cost, whatever. So there's millions of solutions out there, and I can get you over 200 million freelancers within a second. Now, amazing. That potential's there, but most times, more times than not, the unique requirements within each enterprise are so unique and different that it's not as simple as go to just Upwork, right? Or go to just this platform, which would be the equivalent of like, go to OpenAI, go to so-and-so. It's in the orchestration from why do you need it to how do you scale it out compliantly? Because to your point, like when you're a little startup, it's kind of great. No one's going to sue you. You can kind of do whatever you want, not get in that much trouble. But when you're a large Fortune 500, every step you make, there's lawyers waiting to sue you, regulators waiting to regulate you, and people getting ready to ruin your brand. So that's a huge, huge point. If you can hear digging, my dog is deciding to dig in the ground right now. That's the stuff AI. Hey, you can dig. You're okay. That's the stuff AI won't get rid of, But what would you say is the biggest? Let's start with the biggest tripwires of where companies are going wrong. For example, are you seeing a lot of companies hiring people that they think are experts that aren't experts? Are you seeing companies overinvest in certain technologies without having the right plan? Vice versa, companies doing nothing. But what would you say are like the biggest things that companies are getting wrong with their technology and AI strategy right now?
Biting too much.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, there are too many moving parts, right? You look at the news today and it's different tomorrow. The new models, new technologies, new companies, new applications are coming out, right? How do you fix it to something? And you say, I'm going to change my sales ops. I'm going to change my entire workflow. By the time you implement it, you do like if you're still doing a full life cycle implementation, I'm sorry, but if you're doing a little bit more agile, good, but it's still too big. So start off small. Say that, hey, you have a ping pong scheduling meetings, right? Just do it just do a scheduling automation thing, AI recording your meeting, doing the analysis, sharing that with your attendees. That is a quick win. You can get a sense how it is fitting your company, how it's fitting organizationally, just like that. The second process, I'm using the PE firm, for example. I'm getting all these slide decks, right? They got like thousands of slide decks incoming, and then it's going through a AI scoring algorithm, which they defined. They add the recipes. Is looking at total addressable market. Is it in the industry that is risky or not condoned by certain investors? All those stuff, and then at the end of it, you're going to get a score. Very defined, very digestible, and very easy to measure whether it's good, bad, or terrible.
And when we say easy to measure, I mean, how are we? Are there any common measurements, or is it purely based off the business case? But are there any common from like an AI slash technical strategy? Are there any standard metrics that you recommend?
Uh, yeah. So for example, the DAC scoring algorithm, right? So that's why human in the loop is still very important, especially in this phase right now. And it's like, well, we continue to have the investment associates looking at it, scoring it, but at the same time, you're looking at the AI score. So you get it side by side, and you can pinpoint, no, this is missed,
Yeah, yeah.
and you continue to refine the recipe, the algorithm, the prompts or whatever it is. Oops, hang on, let me shut this robocall. um, so yes, so it is. That's how you actually evaluate, right? It's very quickly you can say, "Wow, this is entirely missed," or "This is actually something that the investment associate would have never thought of." So you go through that, marination period, uh, and then fine tune the algorithms.
Gotcha. So I have a really dumb question. You ready?
It's
And
no
it's
good dumb
so,
question, Matthew.
oh, it's dumb. Oh, it's really dumb. It's really dumb. So literally, it's just the who. And I mean, who do you need to do this? So you're mentioning things like, you have the human in the loop to marinate the algorithm, to tune the algorithm. Who do you need? So assume that I'm a PM, or let's say I'm a CMO, right? Or I'm a product manager.
Mm-hmm.
I When you say tune the algorithm, I'm like, that makes sense theoretically, but who the hell's doing that? Right? Because I know I'm not the one who's gonna go into like I know that's not me. But so who needs to be involved? Because the next question is going to be, how do I make sure I'm not hiring the wrong people, right? But
Mm-hmm.
who needs to be involved to have a successful AI strategy and AI application?
Yeah. So you do need the stakeholders, right? The people that know the organization, the nuances, who has the social capital, who has a sway within their organizations, right? You got that one end. And then on the other end, there's when actually your organization comes in. You have these talents that have been specializing in this, technologies, right? They may not know about the industry per se, but with the collaboration of the stakeholders, taking that input, they take care of all the mechanics, the tuning, the marination, and all of that. So
Gotcha.
those are the shepherds.
Now, so with that side, is it easy to go hire? Like, who am I hiring them? Am I just hiring a head of AI? Um, am I going to Accenture? Right? What are some of the common and also what you think are the best either hiring strategies, partner strategies? How do I go beyond my existing stakeholders?
Yeah, so this is I think there's going to be a shortage, of these talents, and I think that's when it comes in really good, in this gig economy, this freelancer economy, which that's where you add the most values. There will be AI boosted workforce. You know, they just very fluent in all of these applications and taking that. And I think the best thing right now is to start immediately. Strategy is good, but like I said, whatever you know today is not going to be quite true tomorrow in terms of technologies and what you can get from it. So I think it's good to have the strategic side of things, but how about having a small pilot tackled one point that you've been like repetitively doing? Anything that you're doing twice, it is a prime candidate for that kind of AI project, AI pilot.
Okay, so let me play back exactly what you just said though. When you mentioned the AI boosted workforce, so I'm going to tell you some quick data for both of you, Kenneth, and listeners out there. So one of the big, so there was a surge in demand um, across all freelance talent platforms when ChatGPT came out. And that immediate surge in demand was for AI expertise, right? And it was people trying to make sense of, I need those AI experts and can't find them, right? So these freelance talent platforms, they filled the need.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to your point earlier about you need the stakeholders because it's not necessarily the tech, it's more about the application
Mm-hmm.
and matching the unique requirements with the potential technology with the application of the technology. So okay,
Mm-hmm.
we know that's true. We
Yeah.
also know that 65% of freelancers are already using AI. So
Mm-hmm.
that's data that just came out. We
Yeah.
also know that 91% of the freelancers that are using AI are saying it makes them more productive. So they're not scared of it. They're actually finding a benefit of it, and it's more than half. I'm willing to bet, I don't know the data. I did hear a number about a month ago, but less than 20% of internal employees are using, some sort of Gen AI tools. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not just their fault because a lot of their companies, you don't know if you should or not, right? Like maybe this will get you, you don't want to be the person that unleashed a massive cyber attack because you were trying out a new AI application, right? So the incentives just aren't there. So what I'm trying to get at is that this AI boosted workforce that you mentioned, well, we already have that. And that's the freelance workforce and the fractional
Mm-hmm.
workforce and these
Yeah.
freelance talent platforms because the incentives are aligned for them to give a shit about AI because they need to compete in the marketplace of getting
Mm-hmm.
clients. So is that, I mean, how, I don't know, is that what you were intending when you said an AI boosted workforce, or what do you think about that?
Again, there's so much to unpack, Matthew. I don't know where to begin, but yeah. So when you have your own workforce, right,
Yeah.
and um, there's regulations, there's security. Maybe ChatGPT is blocked, by the firewall for good or whatever reasons, and I think that needs to be looked at, right? And where there's going to be okay, yeah, we shouldn't be using the regular one where your data is like you put in your PII with financial information, with wiring information, and if you put that into OpenAI, you're not supposed to like go back to other users. I'm not supposed to retrieve it, but it is leaked out of the corporate firewall, no doubt, right? So I think like maybe having a trained uh, workforce that knows how to use it within the regulation, I think that's a good start.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
in the
Gotcha.
meantime, the workforce, the gig workforce is already using it because they notice how they are able to compete, how they're going to have a head start
Yeah,
against other
because the incentives are
competition that
aligned.
is not really using it.
Actually, I would add there's two. I mean, one, the incentives are aligned. Two, there's no chains, which, as you mentioned, the corporate firewall. There's literally just getting fired for doing it, and
Hmm.
so I mean, those are two systemic benefits that a self-employed or external worker is always going to have when it comes to adopting AI more or better than an internal employee. And that makes total sense. I love the example of the firewall because I think a lot of times, a lot of either AI or non-AI experts will be like, all right, well, then the company should just let you use OpenAI. And you're like, okay, do you understand how scale works and the implications of you let one person do it and all of a sudden opened up at scale? It's something worse than you could ever imagine.
Hmm.
Now, I wonder, Ken. So I have one more question for you,
Yeah.
and that is, where the hell do you see the world in 2 years? And how does a enterprise CEO make sure that they're on the right side of that world?
Hmm. 2 years, man. I can't even tell you what's going to happen next week, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. Um, So big firms like JP Morgan, can have their own GPT. Is true. Goldman Sachs has been doing that for a while, right? But it's the middle ones. There's a lot of people in the middle. I think we're getting to that point where it's like I raise my hands. I still want to have that private AI built just for me, tuned just for me, with the information stay within my virtual firewall. That will become a lot more accessible. You just raise your hand, you find the right talent on your platform, you'll be able to hook up the right teams to put that in place, and you launch that, you tune that. It's live within weeks, right? This is not the Goldman Sachs. This is not the Morgan Stanleys. This is like, your the bakers, or maybe a yoga studio, or a startup or something like that, right? So that will become way more accessible.
And what are the impacts of that? If that is true, does that mean that? I mean, let me give you what seems like one potential massive implication. If you're a professional service firm, that sounds terrifying, right? Because people are paying you to be the experts. People are paying you for knowledge. Are all professional service firms freaking out? What would you say are like the big implications that you see of that?
So the seemingly easy access, say I can ask for some legal advice. Yeah. And whether it's true or not, whether it's like customized for me or not, that's still to be seen. But I think is the entry level, the basic stuff is all accessible. So if you're selling that, you can almost kiss that goodbye. The low level gigs will be gone. So it always comes back to the warm and the fuzzies. It's going to be the handshake. It's going to be look in your eyes. Matthew, I know your family. I know your dog. I know he likes the steak. So I know something about you, and I'm going to have a custom solution for you that is applicable to your legal situation, right? Those nuances, until the Optimus robot is going to be part of the meeting, taking notes and thinking about it and reading your body language and scanning your biometrics. And it's soon, I don't know when, but it's soon. Until then, the higher level services will remain. It will shift. Right now, it has to be really outcomes. It's not much, I'm going to charge you $500 an hour, like Tom Cruise in the movie The Firm decades ago.
Yeah, I think, Kenneth, that nails it. And that is the most perfect way to honestly end this episode and have next steps for every single person listening, right? I could not agree more. And I think from our industry, what it says is exactly that, is that, honestly, around 60% of the gig work can be automated. But with that said, the strategy, the partnership, and the trust, that's still only built by humans. And I don't know if AI will ever take that over. I doubt it. But no matter what, I always need someone to yell at, and I always need a shoulder to lean on, right? And those two things are inherently true. We can call them the carrot and stick if we want, and call them the angel and devil if we want. But the reality is, I always need someone to yell at, and I always need a trusted partner to have a shoulder. So, Kenneth, thank you for hopping on. Most important question for our listeners: where can they find you?
So you can go hit up KennethLo.me, KENNETHLO.me. It's going to take you to a page. You can see my pictures. You can see my cycling mishaps. And then you can see my LinkedIn. You can book a call. So I'm actually looking for business leaders and business owners to interview them for use cases and pain points. And I can promise you just only one thing: a juicy conversation and the early findings of my all the interviews. So we welcome that.
I love it. Kenneth, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you, Matthew.